Hello! In this short CPD film, we have surveyed the teaching and learning leaders of years 7 to 10 about the teachers' verbal and non-verbal communication. They were asked 3 simple questions.
What are the best ways teachers and students interact? What ways might a teacher disengage you from a lesson? And finally, what are the best ways to receive praise and feedback?
Take a few minutes to listen to the responses. I'm sure you'll agree that there are some very interesting points to consider.
Be happy and smile, please.
Randomly selecting students for answers.
Include everyone, don't just take answers from those who always contribute.
A little humour makes the lesson feel more at ease. Don't be too serious all the time. It's boring.
Be patient with us. New concepts aren't easy until they are practiced. Be respectful and understanding.
Remembering our names, it makes us feel you care.
Explain ideas fully, clearly and slowly. Try a different approach if we still don't get it.
Nice comments in our book are great because we can show our parents at home.
Encouraging us not to be afraid of making mistakes.
I prefer quiet or calm tones of voices.
Please don't say things like, this topic is really hard, or I know it's boring, but we have to do it. It really puts a mental barrier in children's minds before they start.
Picking on people without their hands up can be terrifying. At least give us time to confer with a partner before picking. This gives us time to think about our thoughts, or just accept we don't know.
Be enthusiastic about the lesson. It helps motivate us.
Using students' work as examples of model answers is a really good way to praise and motivate us.
Use engaging and upbeat tone of voice.
Being told well done or not quiet but good try when answering questions.
We like discussions about issues covered in class. It helps us learn more than working in silence on our own.
Don't stay seated behind your computer for the entire lesson. Same with your desk. Remember your tone of voice. If you seem uninterested about what you're talking about, it can be infectious.
Being silent for the whole lesson because we like to help and discuss with each other.
Don't sanction the whole class just because 1 or 2 people are being naughty. Just use the ISR. If you ask most students, they probably prefer you to use it.
How can I put this? When you bend down and give other students one-to-one.
Try to remember where you might be putting your posterior.
Too much teacher talk at the start of the lesson. 10 minutes later, people start to zone out.
If covering a lesson, introduce yourself. Don't assume that we know every single member of staff. It's a big school.
Remember your positioning. Having your back turned to one side of the class can make us feel excluded.
Smile!
Interaction. Involve all students somehow.
Circulate around the classroom, checking and understanding one-on-one. It helps us get clarifications so that we don't emit confusion in front of 30 peers.
Having a sense of humour, but don't try to be down with the kids. It can be a bit cringy.
Referring to academic setting in a negative way. For example, if you score X, you may move down a set.
Don't spend all lesson behind your desk.
Don't ask us to work in silence and then start talking to the whole class. We are either listening to you or focusing on a task.
Waffling your life stories, nobody minds an anecdote if it furthers our learning. But if it continues to go off course, some students may entice you to distract it from task.
Allow discussion with neighbours before answering questions about something new. It gives us more confidence.
Never say your top set, this should be easy for you, because it makes students feel like they're being a bit stupid if they're struggling. And imagine asking for help after your teachers just said that.
Being positive to each student in the lesson is really positive, and using our name really helps.
Written praise is more personal, and we prefer it to over-the-top verbal praise from simple answers.
Verbal praise if it's done in a way that makes us feel like equals.
Be honest with feedback.
Being thoughtful and supporting comments.
Acknowledging your ideas and contributions to class by putting them on the board.
Use paired or group discussion in lessons. This will allow us to be more confident with our answers before giving an answer. It will also reduce anxiety for others.
Please don't raise your voice over the little things. The disappointed approach can be more effective.
Understand that we're becoming young adults and we prefer to be spoken to in a professional way.
Offering metaphors to new ideas is something we can find useful.
Active reading in the class. It actually ensures all of us are engaged.
Use students' work as examples to help model. Ask students if they mind first our academic work is personal to us.
Use more questions. If you can see us struggling with an answer, breaking it down can help us. Private praise can also be really effective. I have friends who are also quite shy and would much prefer that.
Using students to help teach others in class. For example, in maths, asking us to come up to the board to demonstrate our working out can be really useful.
I think a good way to give praise is using students' names to refer to a previous good answer at a point later on in the lesson.
Your tone has such an impact on our learning and motivation. Using a positive tone that's professional will help us feel validated as professionals ourselves. But using a dismissive, or worse, patronising tone makes us feel demotivated and even anxious.
Using language that creates a subconscious feeling of self-doubt can also be detrimental for students. The classic talk of our upcoming GCSEs and that if we don't revise now, we won't be able to achieve later. We are all aware of the clock ticking, and this talk can have a negative effect on all students.
It's like when you get told to do your bedroom and tidy up when you were just about to do it voluntarily. It's the lack of trust that causes us to feel demotivated, and instead using more supportive and confidence building phrases I think would really benefit us.
Do not compare us to our other siblings or other students in the class. It makes us feel as though we are less valued.
So we prefer something more like a business-like discussion. So if you were talking to us and we just said something that most people would have got, and then you say, well done, you should feel really proud of yourself, that's just patronising. I mean, I can understand where you're coming from, you want to make us feel praised, but well, it can invite ridicule from our peers, and then we're just not going to want to engage again. Of course we do like praise, but we prefer it to be more professional and maybe something just more casual instead. That can make us feel a lot better about it.
So, one of the most effective forms of praise is the validation we feel when you reference our contributions to the whole class. For example, Michael's point earlier is very useful here because
try not to weaponise politeness with an aggressive tone of voice. When a sentence starts with, excuse me, pick that up, it comes across as aggressive and disengages us from the lesson. Using more motivating vocabulary can make sure that the students stay engaged.
Don't tell us to smile. Some people just have a moody face, but some people might be upset. Rather, ask us if we're okay.
Try and inject some enthusiasm into your voices. For us students, it may be the first time that we're learning this topic, even though you've taught it a billion times. But if you have a monotone voice, it will quickly disengage us.
I hate this lesson. I've taught it 100 times and frankly, I hate teaching it too. Don't say this. It creates an atmosphere of boredom and disappointment before the lesson is even started. Instead, you should be concentrating on motivating your students without patronising them.
When teachers overtalk at the beginning of the lesson, it makes us students feel like we don't have enough time to ask questions or get the tailored input that we need. Additionally, students need to make time for feedback so that everybody is on the same page before moving on.
I really like the staff that are polite and constructive. It's easy to slip into passive aggressiveness. If something's said to you, put your back up, it would put our back up.
Picking on a student for a response without giving them thinking time can create anxiety and make them feel under pressure. Saying the words, I don't know, can be embarrassing for the student. It is important that they are given thinking time and time to discuss the answer with their peers.